so many of us don't even know what emotion we're going, like we don't even know. We don't even know how to process it because we've been trying to just fix it or to put a band-aid on it, or we suppress it as adults, right? We go get the alcohol, we go do whatever, right? We just, okay, what can I do to numb it, right? And then we're never dealing with it, right? It's the same thing because we were taught though, oh, I shouldn't be crying right now. I should just stop it. Like, I shouldn't be feeling this. I should just stop it. Like, I shouldn't do that. And so it's like, how can we learn how to just sit and be in it and let it come through?
Today?
I want Christine to go first. Christine.
Oh, I am good. I always look forward to joining on with you ladies. This is one of my favorite mornings. I don't know. I love to talk. It's the definition that I do have in my throat. But I don't know. I love the energy. I love you three goddesses. I know Jessie is sitting with us wherever she is, and her energy is here. And it will be interesting to see what messages she sends us later today, because I know she will drop into my box at some point today saying, girl, I don't know what you guys were talking about, and she'll have something that is a connection. And that is what I love, because we are all connected, and that is my favorite. And so, yeah, I am just so excited to be here. And I'm really just excited to see what we talk about today, kind of see what source pulls to us, what our energy is feeling. And so I'm excited. I'm excited today. How are you feeling, Dee?
So I can't say I'm just terrible because you wouldn't believe me. Hello. I am absolutely amazing. Amazing. Oh my gosh, so much download, so much wisdom being shared this morning, and so much. I mean, I was kicking it like normal in the shower. This morning, what I felt is, and water is just amazing to me. Oh my gosh. And I was bowing to the energies in the shower, and then because I know what direction is east and stuff like that. So I was, loving and bowing, and I was saying hello to the sun and to the moon, and I was saying, I'm with you, water. I was giggling and dancing. So it was just amazing already for me. You know how we do it over here. It's always a party. Always.
I like that. I love that. Oh my goodness. I feel great. I've been in class. When am I not in class? When are we not in class, right? I think sometimes we really put a note on it when you feel like you're really deep in class on the same lesson. Like, all right, I have to, pay attention. But no, I've been in class learning about my own energy, and learning about what I'm creating for myself every day. Some things I didn't even think about. Jessie sent a video on Joe Dispenza this morning, and I looked at it right before about an hour ago, right before the show, and it helped me. I love Joe Dispenza. I read his book, and I've also listened to a lot of his videos, and one of the books I love he wrote was Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and that just took me, because it takes you on a level of how we're thinking, and the energy but not just how we're thinking, he puts it in how we're feeling, our emotions combined with that energy is creating our world. And I've read stories about individuals just changing their world by changing the way they think, rewriting that script and on that mental level, and changing your emotions and how we're connected to those, how it actually builds our world that we live in, And something that he said today really blew my mind. And that was how some of us are living in worlds that we didn't even existent, that we made in our past. We've made some of the stories up off of the things we experienced. I was like, yeah. That made me go, whoa, did I make something up? And I've caught myself sometimes saying, oh, wait, I got that wrong. It really was this way. But think about if you're caught up in the vortex of your emotions, of that feeling, whether it was sadness, frustration, anger, hatred, you can get really deep, and you're real caught up in there, and the last thing you have is clarity, so the blurriness of your vision mixed with that tumultuous emotion that you're going through. Are we really living out what we really lived before? Now, does it really belong to us, And so that got me to thinking today that I wanted to ask about where in our human design does that rule when we come from our emotion? Is that just our mind, and it's just our throat is a combination of our root chakra just going crazy with all the stuff, that the junk that we piled in there, or is it a combination of everything, of all of them, and just knowing? Is that too much?
No, it was funny because, like I said, I was like, I'm excited to see where we go today, because literally when I came on, for the audience to know, I came on 3 minutes before we came on. And so we did not discuss one thing. Sometimes maybe we have the smallest little thing, an idea. And I was like, I was kind of coming on as an empty slate. Every now and again, I have an idea. I'm like, oh, maybe this is kind of what I want to do. But today I was like, nope, I'm coming on completely open, right? Ready to whatever, wherever it's going to go. And it was actually a little liberating. Sometimes I get a little nervous that way, but I feel completely supported with you. And that's what I feel like it is. It's completely supported. But it's interesting that you're talking about that, because a couple of days ago, my boyfriend and I were kind of in a disagreement. And I literally said, we were re-saying something. And I was like, are we in the same conversation? And it's funny that you say that, when you're talking about, when we're in the heat of the moment, right? And if you are in whatever, and both emotions are going wherever, and you literally are still in that moment, and you're trying to replay, literally what just happened 30 seconds ago, and how two people in the same thing have completely different views of it. And now that I was like, as you were talking about that, and I've been really trying to be focused on being an active listener and not trying to think about my response. But every now and again, I feel like now that I'm more connected, I feel like it's not my mind jumping to try to find a response. It's source telling me what I need to help respond to you, right? And so when I was thinking about that, and I jumped right into our chart before you even asked that. And I had to come up to my own personal experience, right? A lot of this is my own personal. And so for me, I have to realize I have that open solar plexus. And so when I am in the heat of that, or if there is the heat of that, that's emotions that a lot of times is other people's emotions mixed now too with mine, which isn't me. I have such inconsistency in my solar plexus that I'm picking up all of those energies. And so ideally, if you have an open solar plexus and you are in that, you need to learn how to separate out and be like, okay, you know what? It's getting too much. We need to take a break. We need to walk away. We need to cool down. We need to come down, because the people with the open solar plexus need that moment to connect into their body, be like, what is my emotion? Not what are they feeling? And especially when we're close to people, and if it is significant others or partners or whatever, and you're feeling their emotions because their emotions, and then you also have our conditioning that we're into, that we're trying to people please, not say the full exact truth. So then it is, yes, into our throat. And it can also too, Angela, be into our mind. And so I think that looking at those three centers, you have to then look at your personal story and your personal chart and be like, okay, what is my open areas? And so first you want to see where you open in those three spots. For me, it's my head and my solar plexus. And so I really got to kind of sit and ground down, because then, and I too sometimes go back through and I'm like, wait, what was said, or how did I interpret it? And I actually just saw somebody post today, and it was about triggers, and it had to do with how we how we remember situations too, about somebody saying something that hurt us. Did they say it in a mean way, or was it because it was a trigger that made us look at it, that we took it personally and it hurt us? You know what I'm saying? Like, did they, and that was an unhealed part of us. But in our mind, we remember, and I'm dealing with this with family. Sometimes I go back through and I'm like, wow, they really did nothing wrong. But it was that conditional love on what I wanted my mom to respond to, right? I had this expectation. My mom didn't do anything wrong. And so when I retell the stories to some people, especially if I retell it to my friend who is a mother, and she's like, Christine, you know, you have to remember that she is doing every, you know, like she gives me that mother perspective. And I'm like, wow, that's my trigger. That's my expectation. And so there's so many layers, I guess I should say, to that. But what a beautiful kind of thing to think about, especially when we are talking about relationships and family and coming into a bigger holiday season, you know, and dealing with all of that.
I think that's why I am on that tip more, because I have been placed back with my family, and not by my, it wasn't by my design. It was by divine design. And when he showed it, when it was shown to me, I said, all right, then your will be done. So now I'm here, and I'm more so in my head of, all right, listening, witnessing, you know, and trying to be a better listener, because I didn't recognize how before, if we don't come with that grace and compassion towards how another person is acting or thinking, and trying to match it to my perception of what should be done and said, I didn't even realize that I was judging people like that. And then I was making them that when they just standing there doing nothing. They ain't doing anything. They're doing the best they can where they're standing, and giving them that grace and understanding, and not coming from your own perception saying, well, you should be. Who said? You know, I didn't realize that. And then when I listened to Mr. Dispenza this morning, I was like, wow, so all those emotions attached to that memory, you know what I mean? I'm attaching that to them, and now it has life because I gave it life. And I'm like, wow, that's deep. Wow, that's deep. And now it has got me to sit down and think about, well, where else have I done that? Going over my conversations at the end of the day, what I love to do at the end of the day is assess myself and say, all right, the conversation I had with Norman today, how was it? The conversation I had with Jesse today, where was it? You know, and I'm looking just to see where I'm thinking, or you know, how I'm processing, and wow, that's amazing to think about that. And when you take on someone else's and not know it. But I do have one question that you had said. Can you all hear me well? Because it gave me a notice that, all right. The solar plexus, is it the bottom box? So I got that right?
Mm-mm. No, the root center is the bottom, our root. Our solar plexus, when you are looking at your chart, the solar plexus is going to be the triangle that's on your right hand side. Like when you're looking at it, it's the triangle on the right hand side. The spleen is going to be the one that's on the left.
All right. Mine's is colored in, and kind of like these. I just have a different number that's defined.
So that's a solar plexus that Dee's circling with her cursor.
Mine's is colored in like these.
Mm-hmm.
And all the numbers that are not are open. That means that they're open, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right then. All right.
So what that means is, so you do have definition, but it's just not very defined. Like there's certain different layers of it. And so if you don't have any gates that are circled, you get a big chance for exploration, right? And so all of this is meant to explore. Like we're talking about this and tapping into it. And so because you don't have a defined gate in there, but you have consistent energy going all through your solar plexus, you now have this opportunity to be like, okay, you have to have at least, you have one defined gate in there?
No, I have two defined gates. One is
defined. Okay, I was going to say
8 is defined completely to its number, and 30,
which is going to be your wave.
And 30 is halfway. 30 is red.
I was
halfway to 41, but not all the way completed.
Okay. And so really when you do have that definition, and so you are defined in your solar plexus. And so when you are around these emotions and feeling these emotions, the thing that we have to remember when we are defined, we have to remember that your emotions now are going to also be, they can be intrusive to other, if you don't know if your family member is open or not. And so although you might have your own consistent emotions, you might be in a room with a family member who has an open solar plexus, who is now feeling all of your emotions and then mirroring them back to you. And so that's what happens a lot with our definition people. With, if you have that definition, you have your consistent energy. And so what's going to happen? You now get to learn the lessons with the people with the open, because they're your mirrors. And that happens with any gate, any center. So if I have a defined throat and I'm talking to somebody who has a open throat, they're going to mirror me, because they're trying to mimic me, right? Because they're in my energy, they're being vulnerable, they're being exposed to my energy. That's their open center. Now, unless they're grounded, unless they, they know themselves, right? They can learn to be like, oh, I don't need to talk like that. Like it's like kind of where you're influenced. And so sometimes some of these things, although you have a defined solar plexus and you're like, well, I know my emotions, like, how come I'm feeling like I'm picking up other people's? It's because those other people are just mirroring your emotions back to you. And so, yes, you're feeling it from them, but it's really yours to work on. It's showing you that mirror back to you. And so if you're like, oh, well, I might be making them uncomfortable, like that's that people pleasing piece, that's kind of there. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that I'm explaining it in the right way, but that open center, and that's where there's other lessons that can be learned. And so this is why I like to say that it really is such an intuitive process on how you learn this and how you want to go through it, because, and it depends on what stage you are in your life and where you are in your life. And so for Angela, like when you're like, okay, like before you got there, like what I would have done if you're like, okay, I know I'm going to, and even now, like every morning when you get up, maybe you prep, you do your things for the day and you look at your chart and you're like, okay, I have, this is my open center. This is my open center. This is my open center. I am going to shield. I'm going to intentionally ground myself and know, okay, when I'm in conversations, people might try to convince me things because of my open third eye or whatever. But knowing those open centers when you're in situations where people might be putting influence on you, then we can have our guard up, our shield up, right? And I will teach you this meridian thing. It's called the zip up. And it's a great one to do that we should all do, which helps us zip up our aura. And it's super easy. I'm going to back up my tripod a little bit just so I can kneel. And so you can see, and so our central governing meridian runs all the way up through our body, our central, and then our governing, I think, is on the back. And I'm not very well known in all of the meridians, but an easy way, especially if you're going out into public, it's called the zip up. You can do it a cajillion times, and it actually kind of makes a lot of sense. And so you just take your hands, there's nothing really special, no special mudras, but we take it from our hips, like our pelvic bone, and we just gracefully go all the way up to your chin. And then you pretend you have a key, you lock and key, and you throw it away. And so you are just zipping up your aura and lock and key and open it up. And interestingly enough, what makes us the most vulnerable, and women would really experience this, have experienced this more than maybe men, is that looking up and down. When a guy like looks you up and down, that eye movement is what technically unzips, or that is that vulnerability, right? That eye movement. But having this confidence of like zipping up, and we turn the key and we throw it away, that is like pulling up all of our aura, putting up that protection. And so I shared with a couple of different groups about Donna Eden's, her energy thing, and she does this. She tells you to zip up and if you're going out someplace, or even if you're going around certain family members, or if you're somebody who the grocery store gets you overwhelmed, zip up, close your aura, block in, and do it with intention, and know that, okay, I'm going to go around all these other energies. I'm safe. I'm protected now. I'm going to come off, freaking wipe them off, do it. Or maybe you zip back up again to make sure that you have another layer, you know? And so different things like that to do intentionally. Yeah.
Wow, oh my gosh. I'm looking it up now. I'm like, I'm about to find this video that you just referenced so I can put it in the chat there as well too. Also, Christine, Deanna in the chat asked, what do the red circles mean on the chart?
Awesome question. And so the red circles of all of the numbers that are circled on your chart, those are the gates that you have that are defined. And all of those numbers that are circled actually match the numbers that are going up and down on the columns, which are the exact gates, and it will show you what planet it's in. And so if you are looking at one of the circles, and then you see like its little tail. I kind of like to call them little tadpoles especially if they're little hanging gates, right? And so if you're looking at its little tail, that's going to tell you which column it's going to be in, right? If it's going to be in the red column or if it's going to be in the black column. And it's going to tell you if that gate is going to be either your subconscious mind or your conscious mind. So remember, if it's in the red side, that's our subconscious mind. And if it's on the black side, that's our conscious mind. We're going to be a little bit more aware of those energies. Mm-hmm. And I forgot what you had said right for that.
Sorry. I was just going to say, if anyone that has her charts has any specific questions like Deanna had asked, please give them to Dee in the comment box and we will post them here for them to be asked. Remember, whenever we have Christine on, it is an open forum for anyone to ask a question, and you guys actually come first. We start off with a question just to start it off, but hey, let it flow to where you want to go. Yeah, Deanna said
and Dee, that video, if you I think I put it in the Lioness's chat, but also if you just go onto YouTube, if you do Donna Eden is her name, it's called the morning energy routine. I think it's like 11-minute video, but that's because she breaks it down. You can do it within 5 minutes. And it is such a great thing to boost our energy. It's really good to pull our aura in. And there's so many beautiful little tips like figure eights. If you are somewhere, like if you have, this would be beautiful too for any of your open centers. You have an open solar plexus, do some figure eights with your hands. The figure eight is what pulls our aura back together. It's infinity, it's ever flowing, you know, numerous things. And so by doing the figure eight with our hands, there's one piece where you can just swoop your whole aura. And every morning I bring all figure eights all the way up through my body. I go all the way up and then I just swoop my aura all the way down. And I pull it all back in. And so there's a lot, and it's interesting, like as I've been doing all of this aura work and like I've been a guinea pig for my friend who's doing this training. And so when she has to do a test, she's like, can you come over? And I'm like, yeah. And she'll put me all in place. She patched up. I had this, and so I had this pain in my back, which was from a lung meridian, which was actually me grieving my old self. And it was crazy. I couldn't do any movement. I couldn't stretch it. I couldn't massage it. Like I could not find the spot. But when I energetically did that healing and I finally released it and I like cried with it and I sat with it and I like let it, like the pain just went away. And so there's so many things that are like energetically, and like she found I had a hole in my aura right around my solar plexus, and it was so funny. And she's like patching it up, and she's just sitting here rubbing my aura, you know, patching it up, and I'm like you can feel it, like, and I'm like my hip is getting stronger. There was this like tiny little pain, but by doing some of these things, like that's my open solar plex. I was going through so much with my family. I was going through so much emotionally, and there was a hole right over my solar plexus, you know? And so there's not that much strength there. And so learning that that our aura, our energy is so expansive, helps understand so much more about human design, learning so much more about like that open head space. Like I love listening, like I'm going to definitely need that book that you were talking about, but I love about even just all of the thoughts. And like some people are like that one, I think it was Deanna, maybe not, somebody else on your call, we're talking about like the thoughts in the out there. And it's just like think about it, like our aura, our thoughts are like floating all out here. It's not contained in here. And then we're around other, like there literally is consciousness floating all around. And so it's like you could be just walking by somebody and you're like, wow, what were they thinking, you know? And it's just like so interesting to realize though, and to have that understanding that it's not just contained in us. And it's like that freeing, but not for like, you know, it goes on that double side of the scale. It's like, it's so freeing to know that, but at the same time, like, oh gosh, everybody can see everything, everybody knows what I'm thinking. And you're like, well, some people who are tapped in. Yeah. Right. Like, and I think that's why we aren't telepathic yet, because we're putting up our own, there are people who can be there, but we are the ones who are actually self-sabotaging that trait because we're so worried about what other people are going to think about us that we won't open up and let those guards down. Right.
I actually was in a public one time and I started laughing for what appeared no reason, but the person next to me, they were having a ball. So they turned to me and started laughing with me, thought I understood what they were laughing about, and then we just falling out. And I was like, I really would like to have known what she was laughing at. But she was full of joy. Something happened. And since she looked at me like, right? I'm like, yeah, well, yes. Because that's how much it felt. Because and I've done the same with people if they experienced something that made them sad. And I actually felt like crying. You know, if I stand next to them long enough, I'll want to cry. And one time, one person I was staying with them, and they was like, "Oh no, why are you crying?" I was like, "I'm just releasing it for you because right now you having issues doing it. I'm all right. I'm just releasing it for you." But it had to come out of somewhere because oh, this is big. This is big. So yeah, to speak to that, we are picking that up. Tiffany has inside of the comment box. She says, "That's fascinating how Christine was talking about open solar plexus people reflecting." She said, "My daughter is open, and when our communication is off, it's like oil and water. So she may not know that those energies are not hers." Wow. Wow.
And so, and that being said to you as well, too, being careful that your energy and your emotion on how you're feeling about the situation, that you're not trying to get your daughter to feel that same way, right? It's almost like when we talk about that third eye and we talk about that convincing and like, oh, well, this is what my belief is. And if you're in a situation and you're communicating about something and you're in this point of not understanding, it happens a lot when we have the definition and we don't have a definition, or even if we have two definitions, because remember, definition means that it's defined for you. It's your truth. It's your emotion. And so there could be that block of communication for a couple of different ways. It could be because she's trying to act like you, pick up that emotion and be that emotion because she thinks that would please you, right? Like, okay, if mom's upset about this, I'm going to get upset about this, but she might not know why she should be upset. So there could be that one, like almost like an imposter syndrome, right? Like feeling like she needs to react in this way, but yet doesn't know why. And so then she can't communicate it because she has no idea why. And, or like you said, like she doesn't know which is hers and which isn't. And so giving her that, so then we have to learn when we have definition, we really have to, and the other person doesn't, especially if we know that the other person doesn't have definition, we have to then give them that space. And it has to become that space and even the allowance of exploration and being, and then coming back to us. And so if you're in the conversation with your daughter and you have to say, okay, this is how I viewed the situation. This is how it made me feel because I saw it in this way, right? We have to come back to, again, like how Angela was talking about, like, we could be in this, and even I said it, like we were in the same conversation, right? You were talking about you and your daughter. I was talking about my significant other. Like we had the same conversation. And when we literally went to retell the story, it was it was that game of telephone. two totally different things. And so how can we have to learn how we can break that down to each other without it being like, I'm right, you're wrong. No, it's honestly just misunderstanding. There is no, and so it's like, this is how I viewed it. This is how I felt. How can we give that space? And so then you can say, how do you feel? What do you see that happened? Like, how can we open up for more of the conversation and to kind of let go? And that's where that learning is going to come from, being like, okay, this is how we can learn then from our defined centers, because that your daughter may be like, well, I don't understand at all why you're upset. And you could be totally upset because you have those emotions and she doesn't. And so, which could then make you maybe feel more upset. Like, well, she doesn't value what I value. And I go through that sometimes too. I'm like, this was really meaningful for me and this really hurt me. And why do you not see how much it hurt me? Like, you know, like, and some people just don't see it as severe. Right. And so learning how to work with some of that, and a lot of it is expressing ourselves though. And a lot of the times I've had to learn to be like, it's more about how I can express myself, so that I feel like a lot of times I'm not explaining it the right way. And that means that I need more clarity before I can go ahead and speak it to somebody else.
Okay. First I want to say, wow, I love you, Christine. you be. And Tiffany responded and she said, of course it did go away now. Okay, hold on. I might have saved it. Tiffany said about what you were saying a few minutes ago, Christine. So I don't know if I, because the chat would be moving. So I try to put the questions in there right when you're speaking, so you know exactly what they're saying. Tiffany, are you meaning when Christine was talking about her solar plexus and her friend patched an area in her field? Is that what you're meaning? And you were relating that to your daughter? Was that what you were meaning, Tiffany? And I also, Deanna asked a question and I responded to her, and I'll share with you what I said. And I will read out loud what Deanna just asked. She said, Queens, could you recommend us a book that is beginner friendly for interpreting our human design charts? YouTube channels would be awesome too. And I said, okay, are you in Christine's UA human design chat, D? Because she's doing a human design Q&A today. And she said, ooh, thank you for letting me know that. So I wanted to say that out loud, because if there's anyone watching today live or on the replay, reach out to Christine so you can get in that chat, so you can start having some interaction with her outside of us doing our stuff on Wednesday, almost said Thursday, Wednesdays, okay? Because, I mean, you don't need to just know about yourself on Wednesdays. Hello. You need to learn your human design daily and learn how to integrate your chart into your daily life and your habits and your patterns and just different things too. So get with Christine. Hello. Why are you playing?
Yeah. So like Deanna said, like in that chat, I mean, I have so many references in there. I am doing a Q&A tonight at 8 p.m. And so message me, send me a private message as opposed to necessarily just typing in the comments, especially if you want to get into some of these groups. Like I have a completely open profile, so you can send me a personal message, but then I could definitely send you the link a lot faster. I will put the links right down in the comments down below if Dee hasn't already done so. That's going to be, because I'm there. I did give you a PDF. There is a book that you can have in there. There's 2 books actually that break down all of the gates, all of the channels in there. And then there's also some really great recorded videos talking about the basics about how you can break down your chart. And so all of that is in the group. I am going to take a moment and I'm going to put into fruition, and I'm going to speak out my next little stage on what I want to do. And so I found this app. It's called Body Soul. It is another kind of like a social media platform, but the availability of being able to create folders and classes and courses inside of it, it goes a little bit deeper than like Facebook. Like Facebook, the groups are great, and then you put all those folders in there. But it's almost like, what's that, Jacoby? It's kind of like that mixed with like a social media. And so I'm going to be inviting all of my human design people, especially if you're in my UA group chat. I really would love you to jump over into this app with me, because I want to create all my course folders. I want all my videos there. I want to really create a lot more PowerPoints and make it very, very very friendly, and then we can all share and social media in that way. And so that's just something else out there. I just found it, and I'm building it, and this is my next stage that I want to go. But they do beautiful daily mantras, and if you join my chat, you know that I love the daily messages, as I do that every single morning for you with our energy. So definitely take in the opportunity. Okay, Tiffany was on, and I think Tiffany was really talking about just the communication between like her and her daughter, and I think that was the piece that she was like referring to when you were talking about that. That was the message, like when you were like, I can't really figure out where it was. I kind of felt that question got answered already through my explanation.
Yes, it did. I was thinking that was the same one. Are there any other questions before we go forward? It's 11:37, so we have good time for some more questions about your charts. I really want to have it open where you all can ask your questions for Christine. Unless you want me to, and I got a lot of questions. Huh?
Angela, will you can't think of the word. Will you read Deanna's last response to her attending Christine's Q&A call today and see what Christine says?
Yes, Deanna says, the meeting will take place at 3 a.m. Yes, in my time zone. I don't think I'll be able to attend, but I will DM Christine. So she's going to DM you. That's right, because where she is 7 hours away.
And so the Q&As I actually do not record, just because I really feel like the people who can make it, it's all divine. Usually the questions that are asked really do help. Now, I am doing another Q&A next Thursday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so that one, it's still a little late. It will be 10 o'clock in the evening if you're 7 hours ahead. But I do switch up all of my times. I also, every Monday at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, this past week, I did an intro to human design. Next Monday, we're going to be looking at our chart and integrity. So if you want and I'm actually, as I loved that Angela was like, a teacher and a forever student, because I am a teacher, but yet again, a forever student. And I'm actually really excited and be diving into this integrity course right now, and after I get off the call with you all. And so I'm really excited to jump in and to learn and to see some of this, and then also share with you. That is one of the things that I love to do, is I love to learn, and then I love to share right after. And so 2 p.m. next Monday, we'll be doing integrity. And then the Monday after that, the week of Christmas, I am going to be doing at 2 p.m. the life purpose. If you were not able to join me on the life purpose call, we're going to be looking at our life purpose again. And so if you're in my human design group, don't feel like you need to memorize all of these dates. I share all the time. I share the links, all of that. And so definitely reach out if that's something that interests you. And so about every month, I'm trying to do at least 5 to 6 Zoom events. And so if you just message me and ask me what my events are, I have no problem sharing the link with you. And so there'll always be something, but definitely jump in the group. You get the most information there.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was about to say, because everything is in there for you all to make a good calendar for yourself, so you know when you're able to join. Tiffany has asked us, no, actually she made a comment. She said, thank you for that, Christine. I sometimes notice, speaking about the question that she had asked before, I sometimes notice that her fire isn't actually tied to her emotions. And she says, it's like her fire is sometimes just a response to me, but the emotion underneath is not always matching. Wow.
And that is like really beautiful, because especially when the emotion underneath, like she said, doesn't match. And those are the times, Tiffany, where you can really learn from those for you. And that's that mirror. That is when she is showing you the mirror. And so you have to remember that, that she does have that open emotion. And so she's any of that open gates, those are going to be the times to mirror it. And so then it would also be good to talk to her about it and to let her know, okay, listen, you do have an open solar plexus. And just because something upset me that you did, and that this is my emotion, I am still allowed to be hurt. I'm allowed to be upset, but you do not have to be hurt or upset. You're still allowed to be your own, but what we do is we still try to listen. We still try to understand, because our energies have to work together. And so how can you kind of break down in that communication of that response, and maybe even letting her know that that she doesn't have to feel all of these certain feelings all of the time, might give her that able to kind of let go and to really truly be who she wants to be and express, so you can have a more clear conversation, right? Then if she felt like she just be like, okay, well, I didn't know that. And a lot of times she just might not know that. And with the inconsistency of that, you're feeling this energy all the time, and especially as being a parent. And if it's something that I can't think of a better word other than push the button, you might always you might see that she's doing something, especially emotionally, or maybe it's the way she responds to you or whatever. And it might, in your mind, you're like, oh, that was rude or whatever. You attach some emotion to it. And you might see it all the time, because that's something you're consistent in. She might not see that consistency. And so you can't be like, oh, but you've been doing that 5 times. And to her, she didn't know, you know what I'm saying? That she was never counting it. It was never, because it was just so inconsistent, and she didn't attach an emotion to it either. And we have to remember that too. Sometimes, a lot of times with the open, they're not attaching. It's just the vibe. It's the feeling. She might get in a bad mood. You might have been walking around the grocery store, you were fine, and then and she just doesn't. And so to let her know that that's not her feeling, and be like, it's all right if you got mad for a moment, what can we do now to shake it? How can we get out of that? And that's for anybody with an open solar. What can your techniques be to let it go when now that you're in the awareness of, okay, it's not mine, it's not my emotion, I don't need it, how can I transmute it, right? Do you want to have a dance party? Do you want to shake it off? Do you need to scream it out? I don't know. What is it though that you can physically release the energy, transmute the energy out? And especially for kids, giving them those little tools, although adults really need those tools just as much too. And I think Nicole actually showed that one thing. It was a kid chart about how to work with their emotions, right? Different ways, if you're feeling all that bubble up, and how can we release it, right? What are the things? We can dance it, we can shake it, we can bang pillows, we can do we could scream into a pillow. There's so many different physical ways to do that. And I think more of us adults need to grasp onto some of these tools, because we take it so personally and we hold on to it. And we need to learn how we can just let it go.
And I think that we forget that when you see someone else, you're dealing with the age that they were when they had their trauma. So just because you're a quote unquote adult, you know what I mean? You're 47. I'm 47. But when I was doing my shadow work, I was 7 years old. So that's who you're dealing with. And we're not really taught how to process our emotions. It's, my mom didn't teach me that. She didn't teach me how to process it. It was more like, okay, quit crying, stop. Instead of saying, allowing me to cry, and then her saying, I see you. I see that you're angry. And then talking it out. So I didn't even know how to identify what emotion I was even going through, because I wasn't taught that. So, girl, yes.
And I think that is so important. Just even that last little piece, so many of us don't even know what emotion we're going. We don't even know. We don't even know how to process it, because we've been trying to just fix it or to put a band-aid on it, or we suppress it as adults, right? We go get the alcohol, we go do whatever, right? We just, okay, what can I do to numb it? Right. And then we're never dealing with it. Right. It's the same thing, because we were taught, though, oh, I shouldn't be crying right now. I should just stop it. Like, I shouldn't be feeling this. I should just stop it. Like, I shouldn't do that. And so it's like, how can we learn how to just sit and be in it and let it come through? That's like a real big lesson.
We actually think those type of expressing those type of emotions or processing those type of emotions stops at a certain age, but we have to remember it never stops. We are who we are, and it's all right. It's all right. I found the best classes that I've had with my adult classes was having the same type of play that I do in my younger classes. And other teachers have asked me, you do that with your adults? Yes. And they open up and they have fun and they learn. I'm talking about real solid adult classes, business communication classes, and we're playing games in there, or we're expressing ourselves. And because I took that route with them, they were able to open up because I was open. And I was like, yeah, we playing. If you're not having fun, something wrong now. But it's good to connect ourselves with those emotions, because we do tend to have learned to suppress. And like, it's not something that we're supposed to do, and that blocks us off, and it takes away our power. Actually, we lend and give our power to other things because of it. Yeah. The other thing that you said, Christine, that I wanted to just shed some more light on is that when we're having these conversations, with our children, it's all right to pose those questions. I love every time Christine says talk about it. She asks it in a question. When we ask questions, it's less of a command, and it's more more of a inviting, an invitation, and it gives your children their power as a person. That yeah, you have a say in this, and tell me how you feel about it. Then all right, this is what we're going to do to make you stop acting like that right now. You know what I mean? It's less of a command and more of an invitation. And that also attributes to the calming down of a situation and helping us to gain control. So I love it that you ask questions, Christine, when you're speaking about talking. I love that, because that's what's needed. I actually had someone ask me, why are you asking a child a question? I said, because I want to know something. It's like, just tell them. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Because think of how you would feel if I just told you, all right, Christine, I want you to just talk about this now. Can you just tell the, what I mean? That's come on now. I don't want no one to come at me like that, because that's not respectful. And so I won't come to a child like that, no matter their age. People used to get on my father because he would get down and kneel down on people, babies in carriages, and talk to them. And they will respond. They're like, wow, you understand me? Yeah. And however their language is coming out, he just kept going by how they felt. He said, yeah, I understand. High five. They're like, yeah, because I was trying to tell her. looking at their mother, So yeah, that's awesome.
I feel that we need to, as a collective, that it would be amazing if we could demolish the mindset around adult and child, because ultimately we're all souls. And again, your child came through the woman to teach you. So to teach or to break something generationally in your family or different things, right? And ultimately, when we are decided and agreed to be a nurturer or someone to assist them or help them to remember what they forgot when they literally came out the womb, forgot who they was, but know they had a huge mission, and you're over there acting like a dictator. Break that. Let's break that generational thing or culture or human or whatever. Break that now. Let's do that. Because ultimately that short human is going to be a tall human, and they won't know how to create boundaries. They will also be talking to other people crazy like you did when they was little. And you're wondering why they have issues with communication or knowing who they are or even what job they're going to get, or even accepting themselves. So if we can just break that, and collectively, when I request that when we're doing, or when you're doing your morning meditation or evening meditation, send out the vibration from your body. First, become that energy of that we are all one, and that there's no one that has authority over the other. And send out that vibration to the world. So I just ask us as a community to do that, especially right now. Everyone is waking up, and so many people are lost that they don't understand. No, they do understand. It's so basic. The knowledge is not there about even human design of who they are, or even how to speak correctly to others, because they weren't taught. Because if you can't tell, I'm really passionate about this. That's why a lot of times I don't like to say adult and child, or why it was so crazy, or yesterday you guys was like, "Did you're 47?" Because usually they tell me not only do I not look 47, but I don't act 47. And I usually counteract that and say, so how should a 47-year-old act? What's your issue? What you trying to say, that I have a certain way that I'm supposed to act because I'm this age? No, I love myself, and I'm going to be rowdy no matter what age I am. And honestly, that's how I am saying. That's why I look like I do. Don't you understand that? Don't you get it? That's why I look like I'm 30. It's because I'm telling myself, boo, y'all 8. Let's go out in the playground. Let's go do some cartwheels. And so my sons are like, okay, I'm gonna make you look like you about 15. And I'm like, okay, deal. And I high five it out with myself, and I keep it moving. So quit acting all crazy, boo. Get you some fun on. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Right, high five.
That's what I'm talking about. I forgot I was on mute. I'm up here having a party. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. You know that statement they say you're only as young as you think you are? Come on now. Come on now. Rewrite our scripts. We have to rewrite our scripts. And don't blame them. People say old age. I'm like, don't be blaming that stuff on old age. Y'all don't know how old age really is. It's just a number, and it's just you growing. But who says your mind is supposed to be that way?
And we created what a day was. We created what an hour was. How do we even, like, we made up what this number is, like what a year means, right? We're the ones that made up what a year is, like. And so I've had this conversation so many times, like, especially in my head, like thinking about, especially with grief, is one of the times when you think, like, time is just such like a messed up thing. It makes absolutely no sense at all. Like, sometimes when you're doing something you hate, you're sitting in plank pose or you're in chair pose, and it's like 30 seconds can be the longest thing in the world. But you only got 5 minutes to get yourself ready and out the door. That 30 seconds can go by. I mean, like, you blink your eye and you're like, oh my God, I just lost a minute. Like, what happened? Like, how did I not even put my pants on in a minute? Like, like the concept of time is just like, it literally makes it boggles my mind, because it makes no sense. And that to me is like the telltale sign that humans invented it. Like, that it was something that we made up so that we are more convenient, like we're now convenienced, or we have a way to explain. I don't know, sometimes when I think about things like that, I'm like, wow, humans definitely invented that, because it does not make any sense at all. If it was source, if it was the divine, it would be beautiful, just like Mother Earth. Look at the plants, look at everything like that, look at their cycles. It just works beautiful. They don't got to think about their cycles, their systems, how they're supposed to do, and we're the only ones that made that up. And so I think about that sometimes. I'm like, we make up some of the most ridiculous things.
And the actions we attach to it, because you're here and at this thing, you should be. What's that? I was jumping rope one time. It was like, why are you doing that? Because I want to. And had fun. Had fun. The best compliment I got from my students was, we don't even think of you as our teacher. You're our friend. She said, they said, you're our best friend. I was like, let's go play. Because I am. Just a person. Just one person meeting another person. At your, how you doing? How you doing? That's it. That's it. Awesome sauce. Oh, we are at, wow, we're at that 11:55 mark. Man, oh man, oh man. So I guess I'm 10 minutes off, but no, I'm not. We just said that time thing. We're not even thinking about that, but we do have things that we have scheduled, that we have other appointments we have to go to. So that one is determined by this clock that's looking at me right now, that's making me kind of like peed off. Anyway, could we have Christine, could you bless us with a card for this day? I am so excited to see what the guides are going to pull for us.
Absolutely. Do you have a deck in mind, or would you like me to just do the human design? Or I have fairy, I have yoga, I have food.
Ooh,
I was kind of thinking maybe we'll do a human design and one other.
a human design and food?
And food? Okay. That's usually my favorite.
Ooh. I said, ooh.
Ooh. Yeah. And so today, actually, we are in our last day of consistency. So tomorrow we're going to be switching into a new gate. That means that the sun is going to be changing into a new gate. When we talk about daily transits, it's whatever energy the sun is in. And so kind of just like really where maybe we can heal, or where we might need a little bit more alignment in our consistent daily actions, right? Like where can we kind of heal a little bit more on this last day? How can we harness this energy one more day of consistency, and really make sure that we're aligned, that we're doing our rituals that we need to make sure that we are bringing ourselves into our alignment. And consistency, again, is not about the military to consistency of we wake up at 8 a.m., we do this, right? Consistency is what actions are we doing all the time throughout your day, even just pausing and being like, okay, is this action right now that I'm going to do serve my better self? That's consistency. Stopping and pausing. Is this piece of pizza right now going to serve my highest self? You know, anything. Stop and pause and ask. And that's consistency. Stopping and asking, stopping and asking, stopping and asking, stopping and asking. It's that consistency, not of I need to make a schedule and I need to follow this schedule every single day. And so let's see where we need a little more alignment. The visionary. And so interestingly enough, talking about time, this is coming from the root. So this is where our timing pressure center is. The root on the bottom is all about our timing gauge down there. And so a lot of it has to do with trusting and letting go and honoring the divine. And so I'm going to actually pull the second card too. I like to kind of get my messages together. I like to see what the cards speak to together. And so with the food nourishing, and so consistency, learning how to become that visionary. Where do we need a little nourishment, right? How can we nourish our body? I'm kind of giving you my little trait on how I do all of my card pulls in the morning. I kind of sit and I talk to my cards and I ask questions just like this. And so where do we need a little nourishment so that we can be this visionary, so that we can hold down our foundation while we work through our consistent life? And so a little nourishing food. Water, purity, being pure, water, basic foundation, right? Talking about foundation, water. Deanna was talking about water already today, and how powerful it is. If you do not work with the elements, you need to start. Water has so many powerful benefits. And so let's start first with the visionary. 38, if you are a numbers, I always like to tell you what the numbers are. And so visionary. And so to learn to experience our challenges as a way of knowing what's worth fighting for. To turn the story of struggle into the discovery of meaning, and to let the power of what you discover serve as a foundation for a strong vision of transformation that brings dreams into manifested form. And so similarly about how Angela was talking about being a teacher and her and like asking questions and not dictating. How can we use our struggles? How can we be that visionary? And even just for ourselves, using our struggles to ask ourselves how we can take those struggles, those challenges, and shift it and help launch us forward, as opposed to telling ourselves that these challenges did this to me. Oh, this did this to me. It made me mad. I won't do that again. Right? Like, don't tell yourself these things, or don't talk to yourself in this way, or, oh, I didn't like, even when we're like, oh, I don't really like that, I'm not going to, like, try not to close it off. How can you be a visionary, right? And to see futuristic, how can you just understand that this was a challenge? Maybe I didn't like it in this way. How can I still keep it open though? How can I not put all of these conditions, right? The more we say that, even if it's like, yes, I don't really like it. I don't like it in this way. I don't like it being done to me in this way, but to stop putting up all of these blocks, right? Because if we, even if it's things we don't like, or even if it's things we do, we end up putting ourselves back into a box. And so how can we become very fluid in this, right? We need to become fluid when we're talking about our consistency, when we're talking about going through our struggles, and we're talking about working through all of these obstacles, having grace, having fluidity, letting these things kind of work through us, flow through us. And then we release it. We let it go. We don't attach to it. Same thing with our challenges, our hiccups, our struggles. We don't attach to it. We learn our lesson. We let it go. We're not stuck in our past. We're not our struggles. We're not our challenges. And so we have to learn to let go of these boundaries, let go of these walls. And so that we can. Not all water, though, is made equal. We strive to find the perfection that brings the most essential benefit and purity to our bodies. But yet we will settle in other areas. And this is what I thought was so beautiful about this card, because there are so many different things now with water, and we all want special water and fancy water and clear water. And we're picky, right? We are so picky. But then we look at our life and we settle so many other places. And this is what it's asking you. What are you settling for? Why are you just like, oh, I'll just deal with it? Water is your reminder to seek the best, the purest, the finest, and the most sought out for. Because that is you. Be the best and magnetize purity towards yourself. Take a review of the people, the situations in your life, and ask yourself, is it the purest level? Are there elements of transparency and integrity that are present? If you've answered no or felt that ping, then you might need to reevaluate your purity. You deserve this, and it's time to receive. Cleanliness is next to godliness, and you are a co-creator of God. And so I brought in the fluidity aspect of it, but purity, the cleanliness, what water does show us. And actually I saw, it might have been from Master. I did his one of his meditations about the solstice, and he was talking about the power of water and how we start bringing in soaps and all of this stuff that we don't really need if we actually just used water what it was needed to do. We did a little bit of rubbing and all of this stuff, but water is meant to clean, to purify. It's also meant to show us how to be fluid, how to be. But that visionary and those struggles and all of that, do you let those struggles hold you back and make you feel like you're not worthy of the best? Or do you let those struggles show you that, you know what? That's giving me strength, because it knows that I deserve better and that I am not going to settle here, that it is asking me to get uncomfortable because it knows that I can be better, that I can do better. That's why this is pulling out from underneath me. And I'm getting ready to walk into this and to honor this, because at the end of the month, 2 of my jobs are kind of dissipating, one being my yoga job. And it's like, I'm stepping up, and like, I could be like, oh, man, now what am I going to do? And I'm actually really excited. I'm like, December, this could have been the best time. I can walk into January. I can walk into double deuces, 2 2s, like the year of like this angel number. And like, how can this is it's launching me somewhere, right? I've been feeling in this void. These things are dissipating. I'm ready for what's going to be out there. And so making sure now that I harness this purity though, and for my opportunities, like, remember, if you're a generator or even a projector, we don't have to say yes to every invitation. We don't have to say yes to every opportunity. Only the ones that are a hell yes, based on our authority, because those are the pure ones. Those are the clean ones. Those are the ones that are going to launch us even farther.
You know what? Excuse me. I forgot we were in a show. I went deep. I went deep. I'm back. Wow. Oh wow. So full of gratitude for that. Thank you so much to the divine. Thank you so much, Christine, for being the vessel to bring that. I love you. I love you. I love and appreciate you. I love and appreciate your work. I love your heart. You are the person for this. And I'm just wow. I'm just honored. I'm just honored. Wow. Woo! Because every time after Christina's on, I'm ready to do the work. I'm ready to like, yeah, all right, my next step. And it's something because each time is exactly what I was working on. Always. And so I'm just like, thank you. Next puzzle. You know, and that's where we have to come into life, knowing that the divine got our back. All right. And maintaining that belief, trust and believe, my friends. All right. It's already done. We're waking up to our power and learning about ourselves. It's already done. There is no failure. You all got this. And everyone's showing it every day. The divine is showing it every day. Showing off, right? Oh my goodness. Like our Queen Bee says, let the universe blow your mind. Boom. I just went through another dimension and had to come back like, oh yeah, we're live. Awesome. Awesome, you all. Wow. Dee, my beautiful sister, you have any words for everyone before we close out today? Wowness.
Exactly. Wow. What? You know, I love that we're live, and I love that we forget that we're live because people can see our genuine reaction, you know, and that's beautiful because ultimately we are showing them that they can do it too. So I love that. I love that. So be yourself, love yourself, become aware of yourself, you know, however that you need to do it. Yes, do it. That's it. Do it. Take that action and do it and do it. I do want to ask Christine a question before we go, because someone was asking in the chat for Christine to mention the app again, and I looked for it. I'm going to share my screen. I looked for the app, and I want to make sure that which one, because you said body soul, right, Christine?
Yes, it's that first one, the
This
mermaid.
one?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay,
Yes,
so
that one.
I will share the link with everyone in the chat, the Google Play link as well as the Apple link. So
Yeah, and I
someone,
think actually I don't know if you can actually, I put it in my Facebook story, the Apple link, but I don't know if you can click on it via story. So I don't know, and I don't know if it's still there, but yeah, it's the Little Mermaid, and it's a really beautiful app. It's new. It's created by a soulpreneur. She created this whole app by herself. She paid it's really, really beautiful. It's meant for creators. It's meant for people who do want to put their business online. It's really meant for the soulpreneur, right? The one who is leading from the heart. It is new, so it's not going to have your billion people like Facebook. And so I know what is so hard for some people to make the transition is because yes, this is the one with the biggest market, but sometimes it's not all about the quantity, right? That's why I've kind of whatever. Anyway, so yeah, definitely check in and look at it, and also reach out about the human design group too. And I'll put more info about that Body Soul app in my group chat too. So.
and Christina, I did put the Telegram link to your chat.
Awesome.
You know how to do it, so.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, guys. This was amazing as always, and cannot wait for the next time. But remember, on Monday at 2 p.m., because I'm going to be there. Did I get that right? The next meeting for the integrity, you said, that you're going to go over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you got time tonight, and if you want to hang out with me again tonight, you want another hour, 8 p.m. EST tonight. And it's just open forum, just like how we did it here, except it's going to be Zoom. So you get to actually just really live time ask your questions to me. And so, and honestly, the Q&As are one of my favorite things to do because it is so beautiful to see how it just flows, because one person asked the question that 3 people got the answer to, you know? And so it's so nice to see. And so if you want that tonight, 8 p.m., send me a message.
All right.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got the link, girlfriend.
I know,
You're
I know.
already there.
Oh, wow. So to see everyone tonight, we pray that you all continue to have a blessed day full of love and light. Follow the intentions you have set for yourself. Keep showing up. And remember, show up in every moment. Don't get attached to the outcome of what you think should happen or what you want to happen. That's already done. All right. So live in the moment, love yourself, congratulate yourself for your wins. You're here. That's a win. You're thinking about how I can better my own self. That's a win. You're thinking about what's better for me, drinking this soda or drinking this water. That's a win. Having the thought and paying close attention to yourself. That's a win. We love you all dearly and we will see you tomorrow. Yes. Peace.